Hello everyone, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me again today. And today I have a 3D project for you. That's unusual for me. Normally I stick to cards, but I made this beautiful bouquet of daisies, gerbera daisies, with the new daisy punch and daisy stamp set, and I was just dying to show you how I did this. Isn't it beautiful? Really pleased with it. I've got it standing on my sideboard in my lounge. I love it, and I thought today I'd just show you how to make this. I'm particularly pleased with it because, as you can see at the top here, my name online, my online presence is Paper Daisy. So how much more appropriate could these daisies be for my name? Absolutely fantastic. So anyway, let's get on. So what are we going to need to make this project? Well, first of all, we're going to need these two products, which are available as a bundle in the new catalogue. We've got the daisy punch. I was so excited when I saw that Stampin' Up had released this punch. I love their punches anyway, but because this is a daisy and it relates to my name, I love it. And then the stamp set that coordinates with it is called Daisy Delight. And there are some lovely images in there, and I'm ashamed to say that the only images I've used so far are the big daisy and the centre, that centre of the flower, although I'm not using that on this project. I have used it on another project, but I will, I know, use all of those stamps because I think this really beautiful set, and I've seen some lovely examples made with that online. Okay, so I need I need those things. I'm doing my daisies, and of course you can choose what colours you do yours in, but I'm using Melon Mambo, Peekaboo Peach and Daffodil Delight. So I need a strip of card of each of those that's big enough for each daisy. You're going to need to stamp 2 daisies, and also a little scrap of each of the cards, because that's what we're going to use to punch out the circles to help secure the stems onto them. The stems I'm using flower wires. They're 12 inches long, and mine are gauge 22. I think I've seen someone saying that they used 18, which I think is a bit thicker, but mine are gauge 22, and they're holding up just fine. So you could go for 18, I guess, but these seem to be fine. The stamping I actually did in the same colours as the cardstock, so in Melon Mambo, Peekaboo Peach and Daffodil Delight. So the stamping on each of the flowers is actually quite subtle because it coordinates with the colour of the card. So the ink is just a little bit darker than the cardstock. The centre of each flower is one of these beautiful, can you see how they sparkle in the light? They're gold faceted gems, they're called. You can see I've used quite a lot of the large ones already making my daisy, so I'm going to have to think of a project to use up some of these medium size and small ones, but I've still got enough to make the daisies that I need to make today. Need those, and I'm going to use my pokey tool to release those. I always find that really useful. Then what else do I need? In order to secure the flower wires on the back of the daisies, I'm using a 1/2 inch punch and some some of our tear and stick tape, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. The only other things I think we might need are scissors and my good old friend Tombow glue. Okay, so let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp 2 of our daisies with our daisy stamp. It's mounted onto a D block, by the way. It fits perfectly, you can see, on a D block, this large daisy. So I'm going to use Melon Mambo ink and stamp 2 daisies on my strip of card. So I'm going to put it fairly near the edge so I can punch it out quite easily. 1, and you can see the subtleness of the ink, and the ink's quite dark at the minute because it's wet, but as it dries it will dry a bit lighter and coordinate a bit better. And 2, and you can overlap the petals, fit the petals in together to use your cardstock well. Okay, so that's it, that's all the stamping. So for each daisy you need to stamp 2 daisies, and then we're going to use the punch to punch those out. And again, using a Stampin' Up punch couldn't be any easier. It's easier to use it upside down, like all the punches, so you can then line it up really easily with, actually I'm going to do this one first, I think. Let's do this one. Really easily with the stamping, and you can kind of just grab close the punch a little bit and grab, so it's not going to move anywhere, but I'm not cutting it at the moment. And then when you're happy with the placement, just push it through. And there's one of my daisies, and then I'm just going to trim this cardstock so that I can get the punch around where I need it. Just trim that bit off as well. Just trim that so that I can maneuver the punch to where I need it. And again, sorry, I think where I keep going off camera, make sure it's in the right place, grab it and punch. So there's my 2 daisies. Then we're going to line these up so that they lay on each other to give us a much more full daisy, if you like. There we go, like that. Okay, so we just need a tiny bit of Tombow glue to secure those. So there we are. Just squidge that around and place that over the centre. Let that dry a little bit while I do the next part of the project. So tiny little scrap of Melon Mambo card, and what I'm going to do, I fiddled with this for ages, and in the end I found that this was the easiest thing to do, was to take a piece of tear and stick tape, put it on there, and then another bit as well because it's not quite wide enough, and then when you punch out with your half circle punch, you've got, oh, if I could open it, you've got tear and tape on the whole of the back of that circle, whereas otherwise it's quite fiddly to get it onto there. So like that, and then just peel off. Oh no, not yet, not yet. Okay, so this is now dry, it doesn't take very long, and I'm just going to curl the petals up a little bit with my bone folder. I'm just going to do that just to give it a bit more realistic look, a bit more 3D, just like that. So it's just, yeah, okay. I'm going to stick the flower wire on the back before I put the centre in, because I need to be able to put it down flat. So the way I did this was I took a flower wire and I folded over about probably 3/4 of an inch, I'd say, at the top there, so that I've got a bend in my wire like that. Then just open it out a little bit, and that's going to go on the back of your flower with your circle holding it in place. And although that might seem a bit flimsy, actually they've held up really well. I haven't had any problems with any of them, so I'm really pleased with the way this has gone. So just place your wire behind here and stick. You could actually go for a bigger circle, I've realised. You could actually go for an inch circle. This is a 1/2 inch circle, but the 1/2 inch circle does do the job. It does hold. So you can see that's quite stable, that's held in place. Like I say, you can bend it into position, or whatever you want to do. Just curve the stalk. I'm going to put one of the gems in the middle. There we go. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera again. There we go. And there we have it. And if I can put that with the other flowers in my bouquet, you can see I'm building up quite a nice bunch of gerbera daisies. Don't know if you can see, but actually what I've made is some foliage here as well. I pull some of it up, which are just very, very thin strips of old olive card, which, if I show you on this one what I did, so I just cut a very, very thin strip. It measures about 1/2 centimetre, yes, almost exactly 1/2 centimetre or 1/4 inch. So I just cut that with my trimmer, and then what I did, I'll show you at this end because I've already done the other end. I just took my scissors and cut that into a slight point. My next project, I think I'm going to make the same bunch of daisies, but I'm going to make them in white with yellow centres so that they're really like proper daisies. Be quite interested to see how that works out. And can you see? That gives you a nice long thin piece of foliage to go in with these. So that's my project today, my beautiful bunch of gerbera daisies. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll have a go at making some for yourself. Bye for now.